And so what is the tension in the signs of our times? The tension is this. The negative sense is one of distrust and fear. There is nothing more that's going to happen to this country. So we ask our children to go abroad because that is the only thing that will save us. There is no future for you here. That is the kind of fear that many of our families have. So at the risk, at the social cost of divided families, we send them out. Well, God, in His ultimate goodness, right straight from crooked lines. A good thing that even our countrymen who are all over the world are able to evangelize the world with the faith that they bring with them. Because whenever you see an OFW, what does he carry with him? He carries with him the symbol of his faith. If you're a Catholic, he has the rosary. If you're a Protestant, he has the Bible. If you belong to some other faith, like the Muslims, you have the Quran. That is what he brings whenever he goes out. Then he carries the picture of his family. Because that is his inspiration. That is what provides him the spirit to work hard. He brings with him the spirit of his family. And he brings with him his dreams. That when he comes back, he will retire here. He will build a small home, have a modest source of income, be able to send his children to school. That is what he brings. But right now, there is distrust and there is fear. And what can overcome fear? It is only faith. The faith that there is a just and righteous God, and for as long as we abide by His will, then He will act on what it is that we will offer to Him. There is despair. There is despair that there is nothing more that you can expect. We hear a lot of Filipinos talking ill of their own country right now. We hear a lot of people saying there is no future for us. And therefore, they try to seek it somewhere else. But out of despair, what must we bring? We must bring hope. Because hope is what will overcome and conquer despair. And of course, we hear this all the time. Say there is division, there is hate, there's a lot of people talking about negative things. We speak of love, but somehow the kind of love that we would want to demonstrate is the love that can really be felt by our people. It is the love that will bring service and upliftment to our people. And I know that each and every one of you here who have come, you have love in your heart, and that is the reason why you are here. You have in your own little way and in your own advocacies, in all of your initiatives, and as well as in what you have built in your respective communities, there is love. And whenever there is love, you will be able to build something. Now, what is the contextual setting of the people's primaries? As we said earlier, it is the non-trapo as against the trapo. And this is what we believe to be the non-trapo people are. They are change agents. They are highly spiritualist and moralist. On the other hand, the trapo is an establishment accomplice. He is materialist and he practices patronage politics. The non-trapo is an experiential idealist. He is not an idealist whose two knees are pointed to the heavens, so much so that he is floating. He is the kind of idealist that is very much similar to Saint Ignatius. If you're familiar with the statue of Saint Ignatius offering his sword to the Lord, one knee is pointed to the heaven, the other knee is planted to the ground. The reason is because he is not a romantic. His idealism is based on something that is empirically provable. And therefore, he is an experiential idealist. He supports the common good and walks the talk. The trapo, on the other hand, engages in transactional politics. He's a pragmatist in the sense that he double talks. Whatever it is that can accommodate and be able to advance his interests, he does it. He does voter intimidation through guns and gold. The non-trapo also believes in a people campaign finance. It is the people who carries their leader on their shoulder, whereas the trapo is an oligarchic campaign finance subservient to special interests. Pardon me if I give you an example in my own little town. Some of you have heard me talk about this. Pardon me if you have to hear it again. But in my little town of Obando, I remember the time, I was a 6-year-old boy, when they wanted a former guerrilla leader to be the mayor of our town. The wife was crying because he didn't want her husband to be engaged in politics. a lot of people, on the other hand, wanted him because they thought he was a good leader. So what happened was there was caucuses in different places, in the barrios, in the town plazas, etc. And people were gathering in order to discern, to determine who is going to be the best leader for the town. And from the caucuses in the homes and the caucuses in the barangays and in the town, they now went to him sending the representatives. If he was still a hesitant candidate, what will happen is they'll have a political harana, as they call it. People with torches on their hands going to the house of the prospective candidate and asking the candidate to be their leader. That was how we used to choose leaders in the towns, leaders in the provinces. People had a say in it. People had a say in the process. They participated, and they were the ones, it was their shoulders who carried, or which carried the leader to the office that he did not seek in the first place, but an office that the people offered to him. Even in the case of choosing our presidential candidate, you remember there used to be conventions at Manila Hotel, etc. And these were not stage-managed conventions, but rather these were conventions that really was participated by delegates coming from all the major towns, the cities, and the provinces. That was how we chose our candidate before. The non-Trapo also is developmental and ethical, even in his use of the media. On the other hand, the Trapo is an attack, collect, defend, collect, or utilizes environmental media. The non-Trapo also wants to alter the power arrangement and reform the status quo, and he is an advocate of pluralistic politics, whereas the Trapo is a believer of dynastic politics. This is the contextual setting, and if I may end it, the non-Trapo begins also with bottoms-up organized movement and is transparent. On the other hand, the Trapo is a top-down, self-proclaimed machinery and is manipulative. That is the reason why we have the support, for example, of Philip Scamara's subsidiarity movement, because the subsidiarity movement precisely advocates community building and bottoms-up kind of development as against superiority. So, Trapo is superiority, non-Trapo is subsidiarity. Hence, what is the spirit that is moving this people's primary? There is a call, as I said. There must have been a call to you. It may have come in the form of an email message. It may have come in the form of a message of a friend whom you trust. It may have come by the very thing that disturbs you. That is the call. And you have responded. Your presence today, we would like to believe, is a response to a call. Whether this is the response that you are looking for, only you can make a decision on that. But what we are doing is making an offering. This is like a dish that we have cooked and we are bringing to the table and offering for you to partake and offering for you to taste. And therefore, what is our message? The message is, if there is a call that disturbs your heart, respond to it. Because when you respond to it, you will act, you will move. And therefore, that is how a movement is born. And a movement can be born in order to bring about change. If the spirit of the times demands change, then the call of the time is change. And if the call of the time is change, then we have to move in order to bring that about. What has been the flaw in the development of the people's primary? It started, as Nene said, with a thought. It generated a thought from the minds of some people. In fact, as far as I know, from one or two. From one to two, then it became an idea that they tossed around. I was not even part of the initial thinking group that thought of the people's primary. And then the idea was formed. As soon as it was formed, it was organized into a concept, into a design, was framed, and the design had a structure for execution. And from execution, we have now the decision that this body will make at the end of this gathering. That was the process that was followed. And just so you will know that this was not just the bright idea of one person, as Ricky said, this started with some meeting with the MGG, the Movement for Good Governance, and a meeting that was held in the House, hosted by Patrick Pantaleon at Forbes Park. Then some discussions and consultations at the BBDFI in Panay Avenue, the GFN conference room, and some private and small